Before I begin the meeting this evening, I would like to mention to all of you that during our time of silent prayer, I would ask that you remember our Township Board member, Tom Ira, who suffered a minor stroke yesterday.
Oh my God.
He's in the hospital right now, and he can't be here tonight. So, please remember him and his family.
Meeting order. Silent prayer. Pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bob McCoy.
Present.
Myself, Crystal Sullivan, present. Jim Jacob.
Present.
Jim
They're all present.
Andrus.
Present.
And Tom Eder is absent.
So there won't be a lot of questions afterwards. It appears at this time that Tom has lost complete vision in his right eye, and they don't think that he's going to get that back. So, in case everyone's asking a bunch of questions around town or whatever. So, okay. I was asked to call this special meeting together in hopes of maybe bringing something to fruition before the June 5th meeting, like we offered onto Jason's attorney here. So, but we'll see what happens with that tonight. But I still want to hold to my word for June 5th, as I mentioned in the last meeting. Jason, do you have any comment before we go into the meeting, sir? Okay. We have the situation before us that we had at the last meeting. And Crystal, you requested further investigation, and some of the other board members. I don't know where you're at, what you want to do, or
Well,
want to discuss anything.
I feel that I have gathered up the information that I need. I have shared it with all of you. And I would like to make a motion to end the administrative leave for Chief Keller and return him to his position as fire chief. That is my motion.
And I will support Crystal's motion. She has done a tremendous job of investigating. Not quite 100% done with it yet. There's still some things that need to be discussed and addressed, but I do support her motion.
Yes.
We have a motion and support on the floor. Before I cast my vote, I would like to make mention that we have a letter on record that we put the whole township in complete liability state according to our township insurance agents. If anything would have happened at that call, God forbid, and I'm so happy that nothing did happen. I really am. But if something would have happened, Daryl, if something would have happened to your foot, anybody that was there, and we would have had a lawsuit filed against us, our township insurance company would have said, bye-bye, we can't help you. They'll have to go to the township. And if some lawsuit would have come against us as a township, I as a supervisor do not have that kind of money in my general fund to support any type of catastrophic lawsuit like that. henceforth, if there would have been a lawsuit like that, 5 million, 10 million, I would have had to raise the taxes of every taxpayer in this township to recoup that money. So, based on that, we have a motion, we have a support. How do you vote, Crystal?
Yes.
I vote no. How do you vote, Jim?
No.
How do you vote, Jim?
Yes.
Okay, so we have a gridlock, we have a deadlock. Motion dies. I don't know if anybody has anything else to offer, other than, obviously, we apologize for Tom not being here tonight, but it sure wasn't any of our doings, obviously. Let me get to the board members first, okay, Ken? Sure. To see what's up. Any further on your investigation or anything? Just other than what I felt we needed to add insurance.
Well, and that is a fact.
That was part of your investigation.
That is a
So,
fact.
gentlemen, if you'd like to sit up here front, please do.
I'm good. Crystal has done a tremendous job investigating this in the last week. Like I said, there are still some issues that need to be addressed. However, I do feel that there is no reason to leave Chief Keller on paid administrative leave and not put him back in service to his job. Like I said, it's just, that was my support of Crystal's motion. I stand behind it, and I'm sorry that the board doesn't feel the same way as Crystal and I do.
We're all sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
We're just highlighting our liability right now.
Ken, did you have something? Come on.
Not to sound sarcastic, but obviously this differs from the meeting that you and I had after the last board meeting. Because I wanted a definition on if I was covered, so I wasn't in the same spot Chief Keller is. You told me that insurance here would cover somebody if we had to pull somebody off the street to help pull hose, whatever. You said we had insurance that cover liability like that. That was your words when I met with you two. Now you're telling me it's different. So you guys don't know your own policy. Should we hold you guys accountable like you're holding this gentleman accountable?
Exactly.
Ken, I mentioned to you.
Exactly.
It's time to quit being nice about this.
No, Ken, I mentioned to you that.
The lies were getting caught up.
Your assistant chief. If you
Yes.
had to make a decision, you had to make a decision.
Right. Your words to me that we had insurance in this township that would cover somebody like that. Now you're right here telling us that's totally different. It doesn't cover anybody, am I correct?
Working people.
Right, it doesn't cover anybody if we pull them off the street.
Correct.
Correct.
So it's totally different than what I walked away from talking to you two after this last meeting we had. So now again, because Chief Keller makes a mistake, which I don't call it a mistake, should we hold you guys accountable for not knowing what your own policy is? This has gone way too far with the
Way too
bullshit.
far.
Well, first off and foremost, I wasn't in that meeting. And as far as
I
what was
understand
told
that.
to you, I don't know, but this is what's fact and functional.
Well, I wanted,
Unfortunately,
because nobody
this is
clear.
the law.
I get that, and I'm good with that right now.
Is it the law or the insurance letter?
My
Listen
point
to one
is,
person at a time, everyone, please. Everyone will get their chance.
I needed clarification after that meeting, because there was no clarification when everybody walked out of this room last meeting. So I sat down with you two gentlemen, Jim and Bob, and I wanted clarification on that, and I was told by the both of you that it was fine, that somebody be covered. And now you guys find out it's not, so you're gonna run him through the mill for not knowing things that you think you should know. Where's the checks and balances for you guys not knowing this?
Ken, I told you that we would stand behind you as a chief in the decisions that you made. Never did I say.
Yes, you
I
did.
just asked Jim.
You did say
that.
that.
He's gonna agree with you.
Not only that, you just said you stand behind him, why aren't you standing behind Jason?
Right.
Yeah.
Why didn't you stand behind the decision he made?
Everyone,
Somebody try to learn.
everything else.
No, because I'm just gonna talk out of pure, I've said it, this has just gone way too far.
Crystal, can we get a?
That's way out of hand.
I guess I would want to know as a firefighter.
I can get
What are you supposed to do in this
Can we
situation, in that
get
same
Ken's copy to
situation?
the firehouse?
Yeah.
You know what I
Let's
mean?
do that, let's get.
That's the
Bob,
right way to handle it.
Bob, may I speak? Tom Simon.
Please, Tom, please.
I'll come up front.
Yeah.
You know what? Just have my copy. I guess Ken, Jimmy wants it, I guess Ken.
Ken, here's a copy.
Get to this after the meeting.
Members of the board,
Hold that, please, officer. Otherwise, they'll be talking.
Jim, I'm a previous firefighter in Uvalde. Served many calls with this department. What I'm hearing you say is that your insurance carrier is telling you that you don't have liability coverage if a officer on a scene or a firefighter under your jurisdiction pulls any John Q. public for assistance on a scene. You're telling me that they told you in writing that you're not covered? Have you asked the Attorney General of the state of Michigan about the Good Samaritan law and whether or not that covers you?
We checked out the Good Samaritan law, and we stand firm on what we've been speaking. Tom.
Can you clarify it so that we know what you know, so that people aren't in question or in the shadows about what actually stands? What does the Good Samaritan law actually mean? Have you asked the Attorney General
No.
if the decision he made was appropriate?
No, we haven't, Tom.
Would it be inappropriate to do?
If you want to do it, go ahead.
No, not for my sake, for his integrity's sake, for the township's sake, for the liability of your residents as the supervisor that you just stated. Your responsibility fiduciary is to protect the residents.
Correct.
I don't live here, but I'm a property owner for over 35 years.
Correct.
Pay taxes. I have no problems that way. I have never had an issue working with your fire department, Bob. They're some of the finest.
Not denied.
People are really upset over the fact that this probably could have been handled administratively. It didn't need to go to the level it did. It almost looks like it was a witch hunt. There's a... I said it all. I'm not pointing blame. Please, let me finish. There's an opportunity to make this right. We, as good citizens, have an opportunity to say, you care about the township, you made the decision you made. I understand that. Equally, this man cared about the township and made the decision he made. On a mutual aid call, waiting for assistance. And if I and I only know the facts superficially, so please correct me if I'm wrong. But while he was waiting for assistance, people arrived that are capable of helping and did so upon his direction. Not jumping out of their car and haphazardly throwing themselves on this scene. He's authorized as the chief to do that. And for you to tell the assistant chief, I got your back, in front of the man you don't have the back for. So Bob, how in God's name can these people in good faith take anybody at their word? God bless you.
Trust you.
And James, bless you both for standing up for him. You're putting his integrity and his career on the line. He did not intentionally put anybody in harm's way. He chose to make a decision as the chief of the department,
Right.
which he's empowered to do. So my God, when does this come to an end? When do we say, okay, Jason, as your township boss, you should have been pulled into his office, and this should have been handled man by man, not in the newspapers, and certainly not with an administrative leave. This is just undermining the department. And this kind of stuff, it tears the fabric of what men and women do together, Bob. You're a part of that department, you know how it runs.
I do.
So with that being said,
3 years.
the Good Samaritan law would have covered the township if your insurance company didn't, first off. Secondly, he was well within his right to do what he did.
Tom, you're making a statement that you don't know what you're talking about.
The Good Samaritan law wouldn't cover it.
Seriously, I mean, don't put yourself in.
Bob, the Good Samaritan law states when I was a fireman,
I think Bob.
now I'm not a fireman.
Wait a minute, when I was,
Yeah, now I'm just John Q. Public.
what year?
So, 2011, I retired.
Things have changed.
After 30-some years.
Things
Yeah, they
have
changed
changed.
everything.
Things have changed.
Tom,
Yeah,
one final statement. I got three, I'm allowed.
I'm sorry, am I done with my time? I appreciate you listening. I'm not here to challenge you. I was here to support a young man who I believe, more than anything, his integrity is at risk here.
Thank
Right
you
on.
very much, Tom. No further comments?
Oh, wait, I do. Let's get started.
Mr. Camps, we introduced last time I was here, I'm an attorney for Mr. Keller.
Yes, sir.
Clerk Selby, I understand that you've done an investigation and the conclusion that you've reached is that he should be returned to work immediately. I'd like to know the nature of your investigation, the facts that you came up with or that you found that led you to the conclusion that he should be returned to work today.
I would be happy to answer those in my office tomorrow.
Like, I mean, the nature of this proceeding is a public one.
Wow.
And he needs to know the nature of the allegations against him, the nature of the investigation, and the reasons why he can or cannot go back to work. My understanding of the Open Meetings Act is that at this point, if you're telling us you've done an investigation, if you have facts that support my client, now would be the time to reveal those facts to everyone. Are you
Okay,
unwilling or
well, I think that Mr. Endres did, part of the motion last week, Monday, was to, with concern to the liability issues. And in talking to our insurance company, we had some serious liability issues. As Mr. McCoy pointed out, thank goodness nothing happened.
So, given all of those facts that you've learned, why did you come to the conclusion that he should be returned to work today?
Just felt it was the right thing to do.
I guess my question would be, you now have an assistant chief who is acting in my client's stead, correct?
Correct.
And my understanding is that the question, is the only question the insurance issue at this point? Does anyone know?
No.
It's not a question any longer.
Okay.
The liability is an issue, yes.
It is an issue. So your assistant chief came up to you today and said, if I'm in the exact same position that Chief Keller was in, what do I do? And the answer was, we will support you no matter what you do, correct? Supervisor McCoy?
The hypocrisy of it all.
That is a twisted statement.
Why don't you clarify?
I said that he is in charge, we will stand with you in the decisions that you make. That doesn't mean that it's right. We'll stand with you, we'll listen, we'll be alongside you, but, I mean, people can't just break the law.
Will the assistant chief be disciplined
Wow.
if there is a fire and Daryl DuPage comes to assist, put out that fire? Will he or will he not go through the same thing that my client's going through right now?
It's conjecture.
No, it's a very simple
No,
question
sir.
and it's very
It's
direct.
conjecture.
In fact, I use
It's a question.
put yourself in the exact same situation. You've apparently done an investigation. You know the nature of the fire that my client was at. I'm assuming that you've looked at the facts, like Clerk Selby has. If you have those exact same facts, and the assistant chief makes the exact same decision, are you willing to reprimand and fire him or not?
Right now, we would have to do a reprimand, our insurance will not tolerate such.
So is the opinion of the board that if there is a fire,
Don't put words in our mouth.
no, I'm asking you a question. I'm asking you, is the opinion of the board, if there is a fire, a raging inferno,
with people's lives on the line, and you have a qualified firefighter come to the scene to render aid, is it your instruction to him to tell that person, stand aside, let the building burn, because we have an insurance
And let
issue?
the
I think
lives-
he needs to know the answer to that question.
The policy has always been, if somebody comes and helps, including myself, as a retired fireman, I have come and helped. Can I assist you? Many cases, traffic accidents. Yes, put on a vest. When another fireman came, they said, Bob, you're relieved.
I don't see how that really answers my question.
Other firemen were on the scene capable, they're in this audience tonight.
Do you know the answer to my question? Yes
What
or no?
answer? I just answered you.
I didn't hear an answer to the question. I think your fire chief had a very legitimate question. What is the policy of the township right now if I'm in the exact same situation that Chief Keller was in? And you said, we have your back. Now, does that mean if anybody other than Darrell DuPage comes? Or does that mean something else? Because I don't understand.
No.
I don't think anybody does.
At this
Chris,
moment,
we
Oh,
have,
Chris,
Yeah, at this-
answer for Bobby.
at this moment, based on what our insurance carrier has told us, we are not covered,
We have a
and
written
we would
document.
instruct our chief not to accept it.
You didn't even know about it.
We need a new
Supervisor
insurance company.
McCoy, are you aware of Clerk Sobey's investigation and her factual determinations?
for factual what?
Findings, determinations.
I have a copy of it. Kim,
What are the,
Kim,
I'm sorry.
or, I know you as a friend and I like you, but I'm asking for no more outbursts, okay? I'm trying to, look, I'm willing for every one of you guys to slaughter me tonight. I'm okay with that. I'm a public servant and that's what I'm here for, if that's what it takes. I'm just asking for a little order for everybody, please. Thank you very much.
what are the factual conclusions that you disagree with? Why are you taking a position other than the?
I received a letter from the clerk on Friday, or actually I picked it up today, but information from the clerk on Friday that the insurance company's stand is that they cannot cover an outside bystander or someone that is not contracted with the township or on our roads.
So is that your instruction to the assistant chief, that if anyone shows up, he is not to assist in putting out the fire, even if he's a state certified former fire chief? I just think, for his own sake, he should know, yes or no.
Maybe you should share that on Friday with them.
Friday,
We did got the letter.
I didn't have the answer till late Friday.
But you have the answer now, so just so that he knows.
If the chief, according to our insurance company today, if the chief has somebody to help, and something happens to them, let's put the whole story. Somebody gets hurt and brings a lawsuit, our insurance company will not cover us.
Given that fact, or your understanding of those facts, is your instruction to the assistant fire chief not to allow anyone to assist, even if life or property are at stake? Do you have the answer to that very simple question?
Did I just say that?
I'm asking you a question.
I'm telling you the answer. Today, if anyone is pulled into a fire scene, they are not covered by insurance.
I understand the insurance issue, but what is your instruction to him? Should he or should he not allow those people to assist? I mean, this could happen tonight, right? So
I believe-
you're his supervisor, I would think he would look to you for direction. So the instruction should either be, yes, let them come and put out the fire and save lives, or no, it's a liability issue and we can't do that. Your
Our
answer
insurance
seems to be,
company has said it's a liability issue, and our
So yes or no?
commanding officer should not do that.
what is your answer? That's the insurance company's answer. You're his supervisor. Is your answer yes or is
You're
your
my
answer no?
boss, Bob, you need to tell me yes or
We
no.
hire lawyers, insurance companies, and everything else. So the fact of the matter is this, because see, I know where you're going with this, and I know where everyone else is going with this.
Where am I going with
The
it?
reports in the paper will be tomorrow that Supervisor McCoy says if there's a burning building and there's a woman and a baby and they're dying and crying, then nobody can come in and help.
Yeah.
What are you saying?
Doesn't it?
What I'm saying is if they do it, and someone gets hurt, they're going to be reprimanded for it.
But you've got their back. Unlike Mr. Tellers, I don't understand your previous statement.
You're taking
Your own
taking
words.
one word. You're taking one word and making a case out of it. I'm very familiar with these tactics, okay, sir? Seriously. I'm sorry, sir, your time is up.
Where's the SOP that says he was wrong? Like, how are you convicting him without an SOP?
Excuse me.
I wrote those SOPs.
Excuse
Bob,
me.
don't tell me they're not right. Where's that at? That you're convicting him.
Excuse me, are they in the, come on, up to the pulpit, please. Ken, are they in the SOGs?
When we wrote them, when I was on the fire department a few years ago, that statement to cover him wasn't in there. So you're trying to put him on the hot seat for something that is, there's no written SOP on it. So where's your validation?
Just found it out.
Yeah.
Laws are made. Laws are made because of incidents that happen. We have an incident that happened, the law was already there. I'm sorry, we didn't know it. What's the law?
I think I left in 2006, after 20 years.
Been there a long time.
Yeah, no, and you know what, I think yesterday was 2011.
Our SOPs were rewritten 3 years ago, Jason?
2014.
14,
December,
3 years
so really-
ago.
Okay, is there a statement in there that states that he can't do that? I mean, I'm here, I'm not against you guys. I'm here to support him. Whether Jason did a great job, bad job, that's Jason to stand for. But as a department of the township is, he lives by an SOG or an SOP that has to be written. If this is not in there, I clarify that. I understand it, we check the law, if the insurance is wrong, or it doesn't cover that. I get all that, that's a department issue or a township issue that needs to get fixed. That's come to light. But to take him and put him on leave and threaten to kill him over it, where do you get your justification when you don't even know where if it's in the SOPs?
This week are the SOPs, the
Jim,
SOGs.
why are you putting it back on, Jim, I look for it. How can you guys put it back on to cover the township, get the SOPs, fix this, get past it? Unfortunately, I know this gentleman, I know the crew, I know the agent. I'm not into that. It's a department, or it's a township issue to address it in the department. How are you gonna put him on the hot seat? I don't get it. If it was me, I'm telling you, I don't know what I would do. I wouldn't know how to answer it. So, unfortunately, these guys all, man, it's tough. I did this for 20 years, as you have. I've been in this township, lived here. I don't now, but I came back because what's going on here is wrong. There's a problem, fix it, drive on, don't end your career.
Township resident, Jimmy, sat on several boards here at Ira Township. My question going forward, I know this is very emotional, and I know I've talked to a lot of residents that had fired, Denny Pike got fired. He stated the same fact that everybody else is stating. Grab somebody off the street, if they didn't have that help, Bob, I think you're in agreement with all that. You're standing firm with your insurance thing, whether that was determined this week, Friday, whenever it was determined that your insurance liability would not cover a bystander coming into the fire. Your board now, you have a quorum, I understand that, I understand the motion is going, you're 2-2 deadlock. Where does it go from here? Does it go to the township meeting, or are we gonna wait till we have another member sit in, so we can have another motion on the floor? So we can review this again? Does he stay on administrative leave? Do we still have the assistant chief, Art fired? I think the township, these guys all need to know a little clarification of what goes on from here forward with the insurance liability that you guys have, and doesn't cover bystanders for the Good Samaritan law. that everybody's talked about. I mean, I know for a fact that if something happened and
Tonight.
I was in dire need, I can break a lot of laws. And I know you use law, and I don't think law was the word you should have used, more so than your policy. And basically, it's an insurance policy that you guys got to stand behind. I understand that. I sit on a SOMI board that we deal with umbrella liabilities all the time, and insurance companies suck right now because they got to watch their back about lawsuits too. So going forward, guys, is your insurance company, are you going to seek out better insurance to cover a situation, not so much DuPage, but if I wanted to help out, if my house caught on fire, and two of you guys showed up before Richmond or Clay or anybody else showed up, can I help put out my own fire on my house? I don't want the police chief to be ever in a situation where he's like, I'm sorry, I'd love to have you guys, but I can't, get away from me, I gotta put this fire out with 2 people. I can't use you because our insurance from our township will not cover you. So going forward, and I know there's a lot of emotion here, and I don't know if you guys can answer any of these questions, but I think you guys need to take into account to either revamp with your insurance company, find somehow you guys do an umbrella clause under the Good Samaritan law, just so that we don't never have this situation ever again. And also, I'd like to address the deadlock, and can this carry on to another board meeting so you guys have a 5th member so we can pass the vote.
We hope we have a question. This meeting was scheduled, we promised, we made a pretty good attempt to Jason's attorney that we were hoping to resolve this no later than June 5th. Crystal had approached me and said, look, can we have a meeting tonight? I think that we might have some answers and move forward with Jason, as her motion was to bring him back. Lo and behold, our trustee.
Circumstances beyond your control, I understand.
I know when initial township associations, the supervisor was supposed to vote if there was a deadline. So you, the supervisor, if you have 2,
He's a voting member.
4,
He's a voting member, it's a 5-panel board, so. Having said that, though,
What is his reason for
can this
voting, though?
carry on to the board meeting?
Oh, it has to.
Is that where it's going?
Oh, yeah.
And then, if,
I am told, let me finish here. I am told,
I already know what you do.
I talked with Tom a little while ago, and he says, Bob, he says, I feel okay, I just can't see out of one eye. And he says, if anything needs to move forward, he says, give me a call. Right now, he's pretty weak. If you want to call a meeting for today's Monday, or you want to call a meeting for Wednesday, I'm sure, see?
well, I'm just saying, going forward, when Mr. Eater's ready to come and sit.
This will be addressed, as we had mentioned in the last meeting, by the grace of God, by our June 5th. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So I think that gives a lot of closure to all these people too, because everybody knows what Tom Eater voted, waiting for her to go. So it's a little, I mean, coming into this meeting and knowing how the court voted, I'm like, I talked to Pat Mary and said, well, this is going to be a deadlock no matter what. So just fair, just to give the people a little more closure, and the fire department and everybody else here. Also with the insurance thing, as a resident, is it possible so that we can reinvestigate our insurance policy here? Is it something that we're going to go forward with?
We can definitely look into it. I mean, none of us can make a single decision. We have to make a board decision.
Right, so back to the board meeting.
We can look into it.
Tom, I fully intend to have continued conversation with our insurance agents to see what we can do in this situation.
I really don't think that it
But
needs to be done.
currently, we don't have coverage
Okay, so I think
for
that pretty much
that type of
answers
liability.
everybody's question here, what goes forward in lieu of a fire coming up so that nobody else is put on it straight and leaving, we gotta go through this. You guys don't like the wilderness, I don't like this. I just wanna make sure that if there's a fire and we need to pull somebody off, that the township's behind everybody's back, and they're like, Bob, you've done it, you said so yourself. So if our insurance can umbrella it, then by all means, let's do it, correct? I mean, is everybody in agreement with that? I mean, if we can get that umbrella.
We'll check into it. If we can get the umbrella, yeah, I want everyone covered. I know we've got our firemen covered to the max, you know.
Okay.
Nothing's gonna happen to them without this being covered.
I'm not so sure because I didn't do the research, and I'm sure there's research out there that you guys can pull with people pulled off the street to help and assist on fire, how many times they were injured, how many lawsuits were done back to the township, city, and municipality. I'm sure there's statistics out there that grant, that are, there's statistics on everything, so I'm sure there's statistics there too. And maybe we can pull that out to help us with our liability. Thank you, guys. Thanks for your time.
Name, please.
Elizabeth Oljan. So, I have a question. Excuse me?
Where do you live?
I live in Baltimore. I was on the Baltimore Fire for 13
Go
years.
ahead.
And I'm Ken's wife.
Yeah, I do remember.
Yeah, sure you do. Question. So, in a week, when we have another meeting, or when you guys have another meeting, and there's still only 4 people, when we have a township meeting, there's 4 people, what's the next step? What happens if Mr. Tom unfortunately has to go into rehab and he's not here for 6 months? What's your step?
We'll have a meeting and we'll discuss it again.
And if you're there's got to be, I mean, do you know the process for that? Like, I mean, you obviously didn't know the process of what your insurance is, but do you know the process of your leadership plan? Who's over you besides the city? Or the township?
I don't know what
How
they're
come the
gonna do
township
next
can't do
meeting.
that?
I don't know what they're gonna say at the next meeting. You know, also, what I'd like to, I don't like to do this. Most of you here, I've heard comments and talked to you last week. And I will just say this, and I'm legal in this. The agenda item says comment. This is not a question and answering time. So we're taking any comments for the rest of the meeting, and if there are none, we will adjourn, and we will see you no later than the June 5th meeting.
Is that because you know the answers to my question? Honestly, what's the
I can't-
plan?
Elizabeth, we're not a yes board. I can't tell you how these people are going to vote next June.
All right, well, next question. Tomorrow night.
No, there's no questions.
All
I
right,
just
so
made that
tomorrow night,
clear.
there's a house fire. You got 3 people that show up in Ira Township, Clay Township, Leonard Township, they're all on the way. You got a baby stuck up outside. No one can go in and help. No one can. You got 47 people that show up, neighbors, bystanders, ex-firefighters, myself. Look at Thompson, I mean, that's what we do. That's what, in a volunteer department, in a volunteer world, you
Whoa,
don't have to be on
whoa,
call.
don't use that word.
Oh, excuse me, paid on call, whatever you want to say. Excuse me, focus, not funny, focus.
You gotta get
The
going.
point
Paid on
being,
call.
the point is, are you gonna feel good about yourself tomorrow? Although it's not a question, I get it. Are you gonna feel good about that tomorrow when that baby dies because there's 14 people standing outside that says, sorry, our insurance says we can't go in?
We had to live our lives on
Right now?
PJs. We had to live our lives, you're making up an example.
Nobody
of
knew
what
the
happened,
place was gonna catch on fire.
could happen, and probably may not.
Okay, so you're gonna go on with your plan, if you're telling the Ira Township Fire Department, you have a lieutenant that shows up tomorrow that takes charge, because there's no assistant chief, there's no captains around, the lieutenant takes charge. He's gonna make the decision, yes or no, that baby lives. And you're the one that's gonna be backing that.
I want you to help me.
That's gonna be on you?
If you were talking about something that is present, something that is future, no comment.
Already Bryson doesn't have the balls to sit in there, does he?
Just,
He has his own problem.
come on up.
Yeah, boy, Larry. Larry, I got my glasses. Steve,
My comment is that nothing happened at this fire. Nobody was sued. These fellas helped put the fire out. Nobody was sued. We're kind of talking about theories of what could have, what may. Maybe you want to say he gets a couple days off for his judgment, but not to fire him when he's not sure what he did was wrong.
You didn't even
There
know.
was nothing, no damage, no crime, no foul. And why are we going through all this stuff? Because maybe something could happen.
He's already paid the price.
You guys are okay, that's right.
Hi, I'm Barb Keller and I'm Jason's mother. You're having this meeting today and it does pertain to him. Why wasn't he informed of the meeting ahead of time?
Yeah.
And they have to find out from the Times Herald? Really? Seriously? This is just wrong. I'm sorry, you're wrong.
What's the law?
No, a special meeting has to be posted at least 18 hours in advance. It was posted on Friday.
Yeah.
Well, I guess because he's not allowed to be in the county buildings, he wouldn't know about that.
But when would you?
Webpage.
I'm told the people that are, it pertains to, not at all, because we're gonna vote whether you're gonna have your job or not, but we don't want you there. Hello? What is wrong with this? This is just nuts.
Thank you.
Nancy Ripple, resident. I understand what could have happened being a lawyer. I understand everybody thinks everybody's too happy. There was not a policy in place to tell Chief Keller that what he was doing was going to be something that would put the township at risk. There were no advance notices to him that he was doing something wrong. My husband just helped Mr. Keller and his family in the boat fire accident. He's a volunteer. He's a good Samaritan, and he went out and saved 5 lives.
Thank you.
And he and my nephew did that, not worried about liability because lives were at risk. Now, I understand the Good Samaritan law is specifically for victims and people at risk.
Thank you.
And you don't know whether or not, when a fire starts, if there's someone in there, if there is someone at risk. So he would not have known at the time he had these other people assisting him, whether or not the Good Samaritan law would have applied, because he does not know at that point in time whether there are people at risk, which is what the Good Samaritan law is for. Correct?
That's not a true statement. He knew on the arrival of that fire, there was no lives at risk and in danger.
Inside that building, maybe.
Inside the building, correct?
You knew it was a clear building?
Okay. If Mr. Keller did not know, because the policy did not exist in the township, he is being reprimanded or potentially fired without notice, because he did not have notice that this was going to be something that would lead to termination. So my comment is, I think the township board is incorrect in their assumption that because the township could have been at risk. Now, I understand under the liability of the insurance company, the other people would not have been fired or covered under the liability. But since that hasn't happened, there was no risk of harm to them. They're not suing the township. There's nothing there. I think the appropriate action by the board would be the suspension that they gave him or some type of disciplinary action. But termination is way beyond what should have happened, what should happen here, because he didn't know that the townships, and the township board didn't know, that the insurance.
I don't think you should be disciplined
whether or
for
not
something you didn't know either, so I think that's a wrong statement as well.
So, I just think that the township is being unfair in the ignorance of whether or not the insurance company covered. They're being unfair and taking it out on one individual when none of us knew. So if you didn't know and you couldn't direct as his boss what he should or shouldn't do, then I don't think it's fair to him for you to fire him because of what you didn't know and what you didn't convey to him and what he could not have known and not acted. Thank you.
Dan?
My name is Dan Summers. I lived in the township all my life. I have a son that was a firefighter, a grandson that's one now. And all the time that I was on the department, we had the understanding that we were covered by the Good Samaritan Act. And I've stopped it numerous times since I retired. I've been retired about 15, 16 years. And I've helped at accidents, I helped at different calls. Nothing was ever said. My question is, when did the township find out about this policy that they weren't covered? Is it just today? Has it been the last time the policy was renewed? Or when was it discovered that there was Good Samaritan Act was covered?
Comments only, Stan. Is that your comment?
Well,
No, there's no question. Stan, I made that clear about 3 or 4 minutes ago. Friday. State your piece and...
Okay, well, if it was after the fact of the scene, then I think the whole scenario is wrong with it. If it was before the scene, then I think it should have been public information to the department at that time, that it was notified on it. I think it's something that when the policy comes due, that it should have been looked at that time and found out. I mean, if we just, our policy due, sign the check and that's it, without checking out and see what we have, what we don't have, I think it's time to do some change.
Thank you for your comments. Take a motion to adjourn. No one else had their hands up. Oh my God.
I got a question.
Are we done? No.
Can I ask you,
Did you vote again tonight, or are you not calling for another vote?
They did vote.
They did vote? I missed that. I missed it. All right, thanks. I missed that part, sorry.
I have a comment.
Thanks.
I have a comment.
He was saying, oh, of course. All right.
My name is Albert Seitz. I've been a member of the fire department for 40 years.
You're the last comment, okay? We closed this, but I asked for...
That gentleman was out in the hallway for 5 minutes with his hand up.
All right, 2 more, that's it. Go ahead.
Why can't we all have comments? We're all residents.
Yeah.
You know, it's part of the MTA rules for the state of Michigan for conducting meetings, okay? Just wait. Probably 90% of you here were in the last meeting. I understand your feelings, I understand your concerns, and I've heard them. Now, we called this special meeting thinking something might change. I'm sorry that it didn't, but we want to move forward. And I don't think really, there's really anything more to say. So
We're just hoping that maybe listen to the people and see what we want. Because obviously you're not listening to us. But all I have to say is
Because these people are trained to rescue people. Like, you're saying they shouldn't be able to help anybody in our township?
You're out of order, ma'am.
Well, I mean, hello?
Ma'am?
No, my mother lives in this community, and it terrifies me. You're a liability.
He's got the floor.
call the meeting now. Okay, my name is Albert Seitz. I've been a member of the Ira Township Fire Department for quite a few years, past chief. And first of all, I'd like to thank also the police department of Clay Township. They've done a wonderful job. And under statements today, they are not all longer able to get assistance from the public either, because Ira Township, Clay Township is not a Good Samaritan community at this time. We've always used them,
I don't know when the training, or when this law that you're saying has been repealed. As far as I know, through all the training, the Good Samaritan Act has not been repealed, except for our insurance. If there's a problem with our insurance company, that would be where you start with. The cost is going to be a lot less than if a person gets killed because one of our officers or members could not act. It's not just Jason's that what was on the line. It's any officer or any member acting in his position. We'll be in the same place.
Right on, Al.
We see it every day. Police, fire, EMS, every day on the news. They get assistance from the public. The last thing you think about is liability. You got a situation, you handle it now. If you don't handle it now, it could be too late. They could get beat up. They could get killed. You're taking your chance, but you're helping them. Same thing with the fire department and EMS. You are helping at the time. If you can't do it because of insurance company, well then you better check on something else with a liability thing. An umbrella policy should be put on. Thank you.
McCoy and the members of the board. I'm not a resident, however, my daughter frequently stays across the street at her aunt and uncle's house, and I also have a niece and nephew that resides across the street. And, you know, I've known Jason for a long time, and I'm here to support him. And as a fellow firefighter, I support him as well. I just want to know, I mean, and this is not a question, it's just a comment. It concerns me to know that my kids frequent this house all the time, and for him to have to make split-second decisions, if my child is in danger, for him to have to worry about losing his job is ridiculous.
Meeting's adjourned. We will resume June 5th at 7 o'clock.
I didn't give any statement because there was a lot of people going through. I was brought aware of the situation with Jason utilizing volunteers on this run, as a lot of the communities do when they're in absence of personnel. I see this as a double-bladed sword against Jason. One, tonight they said that the insurance policy doesn't afford them the opportunity to use volunteers. However, they just recently got this policy or the notification from the insurance company. So in the absence of Jason actually knowing that there's an insurance policy would be the double-bladed sword. That's like making a law that you can't do something, and they don't tell you that there's a new law, but then they're going to hold you accountable to that law.
And they don't even know.
Jason made the best decision that day based on the circumstances of a establishment that went up in flames. He knew that he had to tackle it aggressively and fast, and he only had, from my understanding, 3 personnel on location when certified firefighters started responding to the location and offering assistance in the cold zone. There was no information as to any SOPs or SOGs, standard operating guides, that he violated, but yet they're holding Jason to some law as projected tonight. There is no law. The law is that it went against the insurance policy that Jason didn't know about. In the absence of that insurance policy, they're holding that against him. There's been an extreme shortage of firefighting personnel in this community, all the South Water, from Algonac, Clay, and Ira. Algonac, from my understanding, sent 2 personnel, one of which wasn't even fully certified. The board is saying that there was enough people to fight that fire there. The ex-chief should have been removed. Well, if this is the case, if there was enough people there, why was the chief of Clay Township on the top of that structure fighting fire? When under the incident command system, he should have been part of that command system within that chain. Not the IC, because that was Jason's job, but as a safety officer, staging officer, and operations officers. An officer such as the chief has no business up on a roof. There was no OSHA violation because The people that were assisting were in the cold zone, which didn't require them to be in turnout gear. Anybody in that hot zone, within that collapse zone, is deemed a hot zone. These gentlemen stopped to assist, saved the structure, which was contained solely to the kitchen, the area in which the fire started. It wasn't a total loss. So it's up to their insurance companies. The biggest issue here is that the township needs to tackle right now is to find ways of bringing on more firefighters. They need to staff this community with certified firefighters so they don't have to rely on the public. Right now there's a false sense of perception within the community that you're fire safe. When you respond to a structure fire of that size with only 3 people and you rely solely on the surrounding community, there's a problem. That time of day, everybody is off doing their real jobs, their full-time jobs. This is their secondary job, to be on call. If they're home, they respond, but you can't put all your faith in that. So at this point in time, I stand behind Jason. He did nothing wrong.
Yep, I agree.
Still accountable township around here.